Hello, everyone. I'm Benito Link Content Manager Noe Magana. I'm joined by Congressman Jimmy Panetta, who's represented San Benito County since being elected in 2016 to the 20th District of California. Congressman, what are some of the benefits for the county with the new district map that puts us with the east half of Santa Clara County?
Oh, look, I'm going to let the people of San Benito County basically have to acknowledge that. I can tell you right now, though, that, how disappointed I am that I'll no longer be representing San Benito County. That is something where I believe San Benito County is part of the Central Coast, and it should have remained part of the Central Coast. And there are many people in San Benito County who tried to speak up and who did speak up when it came to public comment, letting the independent commission know that they shouldn't separate that community of interest. Now, that being said, despite how much enjoyment I have had representing San Benito County, and of course, how much I love representing the Central Coast, my home, I can tell you that Representative Zoe Lofgren is going to do one hell of a job. If there is anybody that can continue the legacy of representation for San Benito, it's going to be Zoe Lofgren. I say that based on my time working with her as a colleague in Congress, my time having her as a neighbor just to the north of us, but also as a friend. And seeing what she is willing to do in Washington, D.C. for the people of her district in San Jose. And I have the utmost confidence that she's going to continue to live up to the legacy of good public service when it comes to San Benito and what the people of San Benito County expect from their federal representative.
Now, you mentioned how San Benito has had a long partnership with jurisdictions in Monterey County. Do you foresee benefits for San Benito County specifically in maybe funding opportunities now that they're paired with Santa Clara County?
Oh, look, look, there's always opportunities for funding opportunities. And I think basically we proved that this last year in 2021, when we were basically be able to, through my representation, be able to bring in millions, let me repeat that, millions of dollars through the American Rescue Plan to San Benito County, to Hollister, and to San Juan Bautista. San Benito County got $20 million in relief and stimulus funding just in the last year. San Juan Bautista got $500,000. Hollister got $8 million. Our schools there in San Benito County got over $15 million. Gavilan College got $17 million. So look, I think a number of funds have come into the area, and trust me, now that Zoe Lofgren will hopefully represent that come 2023, I'm sure she'll continue to ensure that that type of funding, or hopefully some similar types of amounts, come into San Benito County as well.
Now, you mentioned that the funding, many residents here feel that San Benito County doesn't get as much as other jurisdictions per capita, not only in COVID funding, but also transportation and other housing and other areas like that. What can you do in your last year representing San Benito County to I'm
going to continue to do what I've done, and that's make sure that San Benito County is fully represented at the federal level. Now, I can't speak to what's going on at the county and state level, but I can tell you the county and the state and the county and the city level have had significant amounts of funding come into San Benito County, especially in the last year. I don't need to repeat how many millions of dollars they've got in regards to the stimulus funding that was there through the American Rescue Plan, through the CARES Act, both of which I fought for, both of which I voted for. And so, look, going forward, we'll continue to make sure that in my limited time as the federal representative of the San Benito County, that it's not just funding, but it's fight that obviously the people of San Benito County expect and deserve. And I think I've given them that fight when it comes to not just that funding, but when it comes to basically ensuring that, projects like San Justo Reservoir are basically, taken care of. Obviously, that's an issue that the people there in San Juan Bautista and in San Benito County are very concerned with. We've ensured that that language is in the appropriations package so that that project to rid that reservoir of the zebra mussels is completed, and we'll continue to work on that project. Also, when it comes to our community funding project, San Juan Bautista basically needs a new water pipe, and that's going to cost $1 million. And so, or actually more than $1 million. But in our community funded project, we've included that as one of those projects and then put that in the Interior and EPA bill that's in the omnibus package coming up here. And then it comes to the T&I when it comes to basically designated funding. Obviously, infrastructure is very important to the people in San Benito County, as you know well, Noe. And so it's basically making sure that there's money in there for State Route 25 expressway conversion, as well as that 25 and 156 interchange project is funded appropriately, but also 25 at 101 interchange in that phase 2 in the Santa Teresa Boulevard extension going up to Gilroy is funded as well. So these are the types of projects that I'll continue to work on, that I have worked on and I'll continue to work on in my unfortunate limited time as the continued representative of the 20th Congressional District and especially San Benito County.
Now, you talked about what you're going to do on your side. What do you have any suggestions for local organizations, local nonprofits, companies, or local government to take advantage of any funding opportunities?
I mean, look, there's, I'm not sure what you mean by that question. I think obviously there's, in regards to the federal government, if there are federal grants that they hear of and they want support from my office in obtaining those grants, reach out to my office. Please, please. I can't stress that enough. 831-424-2229. Let me repeat that. 831-424-2229. People know how to get a hold of me. I've been very accessible and I'll continue to be accessible in these last few months as a federal representative. So if they feel that there are federal grants, and that's what you have to understand what the federal representative does, basically, a big part of our job is ensuring that there's federal funding coming into the area for these local projects. And so if there are local projects that they identify that can use federal funding, and if they have certain grants identified for those projects, and you want support for those grants, I can't stress enough, just like they have been, just like they know to continue to do, please reach out to me. Be more than happy to write a letter of support to support you in those efforts for those types of grants.
And quickly, you mentioned San Justo Reservoir. What is the status of funding that eradication plan? And what can residents do to help you move the project forward?
Yeah, like I said, this is going to be one where we're going to make sure that the Bureau of Reclamation does its job. A big part of our job is making the federal government work for the people at the local level. Let me tell you, it's not easy, especially in dealing with big bureaucracies. They're kind of a pain in the butt, as we all know. But my job as a federal representative is make the federal government and the federal bureaucracy do that. This is one of those types of projects where we got to get the Bureau of Reclamation to step up and do their part. Now, we have to fund them to do their part. And so we've been able to get the language into the appropriations, the authorization for the appropriations package to say that these types of projects should be not only funded, but done by the Bureau of Rec. I mean, unfortunately, we no longer have earmarks, and it's not that we can just sit there and put that project into the appropriations process. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. And I mean it, unfortunately. It'd make everybody's lives a lot easier if we had the ability to just write in San Justo Reservoir should be funded for this amount. We can't do that anymore. Instead, we first have to have authorization of language in the bill saying this type of project should be funded by the Bureau of Rec. And should carry, the Bureau of Rec should carry it out, okay? So then once we get that project written in there, then once we get that language written in there, we then have to go to the Bureau of Rec and say, you have the language for these types of projects, San Justo Reservoir qualifies. And so we have to basically do that push through the bureaucracy, unfortunately, but that's our job. And then we have to make sure, because then they'll say, okay, well, we'll do it, but it costs this much money and this is what we need. Then we have to go back to the appropriations process, once again, not having that earmark, but being able to say this types of projects through the Bureau of Rec should be funded this amount. And that's our next step. And that's what we're going to do coming up here this year.
And aside
but
or
let me
along,
sorry to interrupt you. And I forgot to add that. Let me also say that, look, this is going to be the county and the city. The county has to have some interest in this as well. This is a partnership. We can't do it alone. The federal government can't do it alone. There needs to be interest at the county level and a desire at the county level to basically help out with this as well. And I believe, based on my being in San Benito County as much as I have been and having discussions with people in San Benito County, how much they want this reservoir cleared out of that zebra mussel. I believe this is a project that should be fixed. That's why I'm fighting as hard as I am at the federal level. But I believe that the county officials need to do the same thing at the local level.
And another important issue is education here. Many residents feel that gaveling was taken away from them when it was first instituted here in Hollister and then moved to Gilroy. What can our Congress representative, you, and then moving forward after you, do or help with obtaining funding to build another campus that's in the plans here?
Well, look, obviously, as you understand, Noe, you know well, community colleges are run through the state, and the state is the one that funds them. But as a community college, I call them junior colleges, because when I went to my junior college, that's what they were called. As an alum of a junior college here on the Central Coast, I will continue to fight for community colleges. Trust me, just as I have been. That's part of the reason why Govelin College got so much money, and hoping that it at least in this last year. That's why we're basically this President Biden was hoping for free community college throughout the nation, something that I support as well. In regards to particular funding, obviously it's going to come down through the state because those are run by the state. But I can tell you at the federal level, knowing the interest by this administration, knowing my interest and support for community colleges, I'll continue to make sure that community colleges, if they need help, if the state needs help in funding these types of colleges, if the locals want to continue to try to expand Govelin College, know that that's something that I'm on board with. And basically that type of advocacy and ensuring that Govelin College and their resources actually is there in the San Benito County. But we're lucky on the Central Coast in my district. I have 4 community colleges: Govelin, Cabrillo, Hartnell, and MPC. And I've always been a supporter of them, and I'll continue to be a supporter of them. And let me tell you, I believe Representative Lofgren feels the same way.
One of the last questions, the vast majority of San Benito County is undeveloped. Do you think we're part of Silicon Valley's manifest destiny, or is there some respect for our unique qualities that are rare in the coastal counties, such as intact wildlife and plant and natural water systems?
Yeah, look, man, you know better than I do, Noe. Basically, we on the Central Coast are proud of what we have here. And obviously, San Benito County is very special in that way. I love the sense of pride that I get each time I go into Hollister or San Juan Bautista. The people there understand what they have, and they're not talking about Silicon Valley. They're talking about the San Juan Valley. They appreciate that. Now, look, you obviously understand the connection to Silicon Valley, especially with many people who work in Silicon Valley. But there's a reason why they call San Benito County home. That's because that's the place where they want to raise their family. That's the place where they can find a home to purchase. That's a place where they want to develop the bonds and the connections to that area, just like they have, and they want their children to have that same feel, that same sense of a hometown. And San Benito County and Hollister provide that to them. So I'm sure that as that bridge to Silicon Valley continues to grow, something tells me, based on my growing up and visiting and being in San Benito County, that the people there are going to continue to be so proud of what they have there, that San Benito County will always stand alone when it comes to the pride in what they have there, from its agricultural to its tourism to its hospitality. San Benito County has a hell of a lot to be proud of, and it's been my absolute honor to represent them at the federal level, but also to be a part of them at the local level.
And lastly, in your last year, what are your priorities or goals that will directly impact San Benito County that you want to achieve?
Yeah, look, I think we got to continue doing our job and basically making sure that people understand that as their federal representative, I'm their bridge to Washington, D.C. and back. I'm their bridge to the federal government and back. It's my job to make the federal government work for people. And so I will continue to do that by showing up and making sure that I fight for our San Benito County values back in Washington, D.C., making sure that the San Justo Reservoir project, zebra eradication project, is on track so that I can basically do a smooth transition over to Representative Lofgren, and she continues to fight for that. Making sure that there is the federal funding necessary for our federally qualified health clinics that are so important there. Ensuring that people continue to get the proper care at Hazel Hawkins like they have been, and ensuring that there is the proper funding for those types of health organizations, be it the local health clinics, federally qualified health clinics, or Hazel Hawkins, to ensure that they can care for the people there. Ensuring that if there is another stimulus package, that San Benito County gets its proper share of funding. And then especially when it comes to the IIJA, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, that when it comes to infrastructure, that San Benito County gets its fair share with its road infrastructure, with its bridge infrastructure, with its potential for water projects infrastructure, and definitely for broadband infrastructure as well. That's something that I'm going to continue to fight for, as those types of significant investments from that significant bill that was passed out of the United States Congress, United States Senate, and signed into law by President Biden. Those types of investments are made right there in our home in San Benito County.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Congressman.
You bet, Noe.